Boom, 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 ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum. Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good night. I miss that song. I love that song. We haven't been live since we got put in prison. I kind of miss
Locked up
that song.
in jail.
Locked up in jail, breaking the law, breaking the law. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. Here with Jonathan, Christine, and Susan, and Gerard. We're going to talk about some ancient hidden knowledge. We got a book today that we're going to start from. And it's by Ashker Murdy.
Close.
Is that
Not
am I
quite.
close? Was that it?
Close.
That's not him
not
or her.
quite.
What are
No.
they? What is their?
This is by the Russian philosopher, I guess you would call him, Peter Uspensky, who was the close associate of George Gurdjieff, and they were writing about consciousness back about 100 years ago. About 100 years ago. For those of you that are unfamiliar with, I'm gonna be reading from the first chapter of The Fourth Way, and it's basically it's a collection. His students got together and put together his lectures, and the question and answer sessions after each lecture. I've talked about him probably consistently for. Nigerian flag.
That's racist. I need to report this man.
See, he's already starting. Look at him.
Yeah, he started. Why can't it be Irish?
Oh,
Why
Lord.
can't it be British?
Right.
Italian.
Is it time, Gerard? Is it time for us to finally block him?
I think we should have a meeting about everybody. We should all do it at the same time. Everybody should get together and like hit the button at the same moment. We should do a live stream.
He's only got like 80 or 90 friends. If we all did it together,
you
have nothing on your news stream. Nothing.
You should all just one day he'll wake up like, what the hell is going on? Like the end of the world. Nobody's on Facebook. They killed all your friends. Oh my God. Look at everybody's in jail.
I know it. Everyone's in jail.
In jail. This is the Great Purge.
Right.
Everybody's in jail.
Yeah.
What was that? The event. What was it? The Festivus 203. They talked about the Great Blackout. We got that. Dark Winter, got that.
Yeah.
And this is the Purge. They're putting people in jail.
Oh no, World Economic Forum. The new one is you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
Yeah.
I got
More like you'll be drugged. We're getting blocked again. Let's go.
See, and here's the funny thing about it. Beaufont's from Africa. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
He's from Africa.
He knows what the Nigerian flag looks like because he lived there. So
yeah, I know. I'm not going to Nigeria. He can go there. I'm not. No, I love everybody in Africa. I ain't going. Hell no. I'm trying to figure out how to live in the United States. Damn it, we got limits to our creatures. We got crocodiles and we got mountain lions and we got those, but those are few and far between. You go to Africa, they say it, the rhinos and the wolves and the bears and dinosaurs. They just jump out at the forest. They just come out right after you. I'm not doing it. I'm not. Do I look like a Watusi? Shoot, Christine been there. Do I look like I'm tall enough to go to Africa? No. I would. Beaufont, leave me alone. He probably kicked me out the safari. No, I ain't going to Africa. I love y'all.
I only been to
I love everybody there though.
I only been to Egypt. I didn't see Tanzania or Kenya, not yet. I would love to
Egypt is Africa. Egypt, Africa.
Egypt.
It's not Lions in the Jungle, Africa.
No, it's definitely not.
It used to be before desertification, before we destroyed all the deserts all over the planet, and now we were raised and lied to in school. That Rockefeller science, I hate it. This is desert. It's not desert. We destroyed it, and the trees stopped making it rain. That's crazy. The things that we learned today.
I gotta go get a pen and a piece of paper so I can take notes because I'll forget.
Okay. Okay.
I'll be right
All
back.
right.
Class started. You don't just get up and
Is
just
it?
walk out. When the
All right.
teacher used to do that to us, we used to act a fool. In our school. We
Well,
were not
yeah.
trained at all. The teacher, go on. Like, well, we're gonna get
Yeah.
Mike take names.
Everyone's all
I can't
throwing things at each other. And...
Well, we started at 3. I might have to go feed the hyenas during this.
No, we
they
have,
might start yelling.
Mhm.
no, we will get, no, we have a little
right.
line. We have a little cougar cup, and that cougar cup will be our pet, so they keep the other cougars out of our way. It's not such a bad idea, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, I'm picking with you. I'm just having fun. Go ahead.
Okay,
No, I'm
yeah.
not. We'll just run our
Right.
mouths.
All
I'm good
right.
at that.
Yeah.
That's why I run with smart people.
We don't need any encouragement for that, right, Gerard?
Just run it up. Yeah, 5 minutes if you need. 5 hours? What, 5 days if you need. We can just keep it going.
Uh-huh.
And
Mhm.
Lord, no, I'm not
Yeah.
afraid of wildlife. I am
Mhm.
not absolutely afraid of wild. I'm hesitant with wildlife I didn't grow up around. All right. We didn't have rattlesnakes. You saw a snake in my neighborhood, you ran after to catch it. It was a gardener snake.
Mhm.
You know, certain places like Lori lives out in Texas. Out in Texas, they got rattlesnakes. They got things that'll kill you one step in the wrong bush. So no, I'm not scared at all of wildlife. I'm just hesitant about areas I've never been to.
Mhm.
Unless I'm excited, then I'm stupid and I'm running out in the woods in flip flops because I saw something. Amethyst? Oh my God! I run out there, flip flop, flip flop, flip flop, flip flop. Run out there and jump to grab the amethyst. John's like, "You shouldn't-
Jonathan, what's that? It's a cactus, Gerard.
I get excited. You know, my tail gets to
Mhm.
wagging. I want to go see things. I've been in slavery my entire life. Now I'm getting to see things I'm enjoying.
Mhm.
You know, but I'll probably die of wildlife.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. You know, like I'm pretty sure it's going to be a bear. Something's going to take me out. Mountain lion, because animals love me.
Bear.
I have the weirdest time with animals. Like they either dogs, they just all want to come up to me and either bite me or wag their tails and hug me or rub all that slobber and stuff everywhere. You know,
Wait.
they'll land on me. Weird stuff happens to me.
Are we
I'm
on
a like
Facebook?
animal. We're not.
I don't
on
know.
Facebook. You know.
No? Oh, okay.
Oh,
I just
what?
want to know.
don't
I
see-
shared
don't
I
see
shared
it.
to Facebook. So
I
Okay.
didn't see a notification.
Oh, I see the YouTube symbol.
Yes, a YouTube symbol. See? Lady!
That is
This is
literally
my
my
fault.
level of computer technology. That's what I'm
Susan,
saying.
can I- Susan is high right now. Susan, you ate some berries or something, and it didn't agree with her stomach. She got
I
the
just-
bubble guts in the
okay.
store, and she got a whole bunch of cannabis just before this. And now I'm gonna turn Susan's headphone back on so she can.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah,
honesty.
yeah. Good job, Susan.
I was
Yeah,
going to tell you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Got it. Nailed it, girl. Go on, girl.
Mhm.
All right.
All right.
All right.
This is why I'll never go
I was
visit
proud of
Sister
myself
Henderson.
for that, by the way. Thanks.
Well, I'm proud of you too. Damn it. I'm always proud of Susan. Susan, you look, mushrooms, foraging, pastas. I can't wait to have Susan wild mushroom pasta. Everybody's good at something. I'm not good at no damn collecting mushrooms. If I collect
Chicken and wild
everybody's
mushroom risotto. Mm.
Yes, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna ever
Mhm.
collect no damn mushrooms. I'll
Mhm.
joke with Susan, but when it's time to get some mushrooms, Susan's picking them. I'm not letting
Yeah.
Beaufort pick no damn mushrooms. Gotta be high, drunk, chasing bears in
Jonathan
the
knows
forest.
English stuff and Shakespeare stuff, and Christine knows the astrology and the stars, and you know computer stuff because you build the matrix.
Everybody's got their thing, and Bill Gates knows how to steer the whole planet. He loves you, and he knows how to grow organic food, and he's buying up all the farmlands because he loves you and all of our children. And we all got enough food, and this is why I'll never go visit Christ Henderson. She's got copperheads at her house. Her and Will never get a visit. Never ever will they knock on the door. Hear a knock on the door. And see hell no. No, I don't do deadly snakes. All right, then you go. I told you we could talk.
Okay. Learn
Okay.
about wild.
All right.
You got your notes, you got your pen, your pad, your paper,
Are
your
we-
erasers.
Yes, I'm ready.
Are we gonna get serious? Really? In this group?
It ain't never gonna happen. You wait on that. The only time I'm serious is if we're being stalked. If we're being stalked by predators, I'll be serious. Life is,
Yeah.
what is there to take serious? 2020 just happened. What exactly should we take serious in this world anymore?
We really should do a watch party for The Gods Must Be Crazy sometime. That would be awesome.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Would be
No,
awesome.
we need a movie
Good
night.
movies.
We need,
Yes.
we need to all
Yes.
meet in person somewhere
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
do like a drive-by
Right.
theater type
Yeah.
thing.
We
with a
better
large
get
screen.
visit.
And
Just
do
just
The
get
Gods
a
Must
just
Be
get a
Crazy.
couple of
Man.
PVC poles and a big white sheet, you know, and a projector. That's all you need. You got your own drive-in theater right there. Yeah.
I think I got it on Betamax,
Mhm.
and I still got my Betamax.
Yeah. hmm Yeah, I moved, Heaven, I moved farther away from my microphone. So I've got a big mouth. Okay.
No, you don't.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fine. That's my question. You ain't taking my job.
All right. So a little bit more about this. Uspensky was a Russian. He and Gurdjieff met in Russia during World War I, right before the revolution. And Uspensky and Gurdjieff had both been traveling all over Asia, Egypt, the Middle East for years and years looking for ancient esoteric knowledge. Gurdjieff found a school in Asia, a secret school, which had been in existence for thousands of years. And he, in his book, Meetings with Remarkable Men, relates some of his experiences at the school, but his journey, his whole process of finding that as well. Uspensky had been searching himself for a long time, and he met Gurdjieff in Moscow in 1914, the year that World War I broke out. Later on, they both escaped from Russia when the Bolshevik Revolution took over, and Gurdjieff ended up in Paris, and he established a school outside of Paris at Fontainebleau. And Uspensky decided to work on his own, and so he went over to London. And for about 30 years, until his death, I believe, in the late 40s, about 25 years actually, he gave lectures in London during all that time, and established basically the system called the Fourth Way, and that's what this book is about. So let me go ahead and read from the first chapter here. Before I begin to explain to you in a general way what this system is about, and to talk about our methods, I want particularly to impress on your minds that the most important ideas and principles of the system do not belong to me. This is chiefly what makes them valuable, because if they belonged to me, they would be like all other theories invented by ordinary minds. They would give only a subjective view of things. When I begin to write his first book, which is called A New Model of the Universe, in 1907, I formulated to myself, as many other people have done before me and since, that behind the surface of the life which we know lies something much bigger and more important. And I said to myself then that until we know more about what lies behind, all our knowledge of life and of ourselves is really negligible. I remember one conversation at that time when I said, quote, if it were possible to accept as proven that consciousness, or as I should call it now, intelligence, can manifest itself apart from the physical body, many other things could be proved. Only it cannot be taken as proved. I realized that manifestations of supernormal psychology, such as thought transference, clairvoyance, ESP, the possibility of knowing the future, of looking back into the past, and so on, have not been proved. So I tried to find a method of studying these things and worked on that line for several years. I found some interesting things in that way, but the results were very elusive. And though several experiments were successful, it was almost impossible to repeat them. I came to two conclusions in the course of these experiments. First, that we do not know enough about ordinary psychology. We cannot study supernormal psychology because we do not know normal psychology. Secondly, I came to the conclusion that certain real knowledge exists, that there may be schools which know exactly what we want to find out, but that for some reason they are hidden, and this knowledge is hidden. So I began to look for these schools. I traveled in Europe, Egypt, India, Ceylon, Turkey, and the Near East. But it was really later, when I had already finished these travels, that I met in Russia during the war a group of people who were studying a certain system which came originally from Eastern schools. This system began with the study of ordinary psychology, exactly as I had realized earlier how it must begin. The chief idea of this system was that we do not use even a small part of our powers or our forces. We have in us, so to speak, a very big and a very fine organization, only we do not know how to use it. In this group, they employed certain Oriental metaphors, and they told me that we have in us a large house full of beautiful furniture, with a library and many other rooms, but we live in the basement and the kitchen and cannot get out of them. If people tell us about what this house has upstairs, we do not believe them, or we laugh at them, or we call it superstition, or fairy tales, or fables. This system can be divided into study of the world on certain new principles and the study of man, of human nature. The study of the world and the study of man include in themselves a kind of special language. We try to use ordinary words, the same words as we use in ordinary conversation, but we attach a slightly different and more precise meaning to them. Study of the world, study of the universe, is based on the study of some fundamental laws which are not generally known or recognized in science. The two chief laws are the law of 3 and the law of 7, which will be explained later. Included in this, and necessary from this point of view, is the principle of scale, a principle which does not enter into ordinary scientific study, or enters very little. The study of man is closely connected with the idea of the evolution of man, but the evolution of man must be understood in a slightly different way from the ordinary meaning of those words. Ordinarily, the word evolution applied either to man or to anything else presupposes a kind of mechanical evolution. I mean that certain things, by certain known or unknown laws, transform into other things, and these other things transform into still others, and so on. But from the point of view of this system, there is no such evolution at all. I do not speak in general, but I speak specifically of man. The evolution of man, if it occurs, can only be the result of knowledge and effort. As long as man knows only what he can know in the ordinary way, there is no evolution for him. And there never was any evolution for him under those ordinary categories. Serious study begins in this system with the study of psychology. That is to say, with the study of oneself. because psychology cannot be studied as astronomy can, outside oneself. A man has to study himself. When I was told that, I saw at once that we do not have any methods of studying ourselves, and already have many wrong ideas about ourselves. So I realized that we must get rid of wrong ideas about ourselves, and at the same time find methods for studying ourselves. Perhaps you realize how difficult it is to define what is meant by psychology. There are so many meanings attached to the same words in different systems that it is difficult to have a general definition. So we begin by defining psychology as study of oneself. That's our definition. You have to learn certain methods and principles, and according to these principles and using these methods, you will try to see yourselves from a whole new point of view. If we begin to study ourselves.
Wait,
Yeah.
yeah.
Teacher.
What? Yeah. Yeah.
We
because
don't
you
take
keep
Sorry.
on,
Yeah,
This
no,
won't
there's
take
so much.
Ever. I'm
Huh?
writing down questions. I'm writing
Okay.
down comments.
Okay. All right.
concerns,
Sorry.
problems.
Yeah.
Throw a
don't
shoe at me
know.
next time.
We taking notes, man.
Me and
All
Joy
right.
Yeah.
never read this before. We're
Never
like,
read this. No. Well, how you know I didn't read this before?
yeah, I ain't letting you off on this one, dude.
I might have read this 8 times.
Don't leave me alone out here. All
Seems
right.
like no, you ain't
All right.
read
No, you didn't read it either.
earlier.
Oh, it's long, yeah.
And Christine, she didn't read it. Jonathan,
Yeah, no. Yeah.
and
Christine helped write it. Are you kidding me?
exactly, she knows what happens with it. And Susan was being honest, and she was
But
like,
it all
I haven't
comes,
read
no,
it.
no.
Yeah. It's
It
okay
all
not to know
comes to the
things.
same. It all comes to the
learning.
same. As long as we are not enlightened, we don't know ourselves.
Yeah.
We're just finding a psychology is actually a man construction. And our guru said it's all my guru said it's most of the time totally bullshit. She says it quite clear. Your psychology is cuckoo. And she
Yeah.
says, and yeah, but you don't use the spiritual principles, so you mesmerize your people. I mean, the humans by your psychology, which is actually doing more harm than it does good.
Mhm.
So
There's
like Freud is like
Yeah.
the universal concept. Now Jung was good. The universal concept from like the mother and the child. Freud mesmerized it totally. He says the child, there is a sexual attraction between mother and child, but that is actually totally,
That's disgusting.
yeah, disgusting. And
Yeah.
he said,
And they taught that. They taught
They
that as
taught
like a
it, but
principle. Yeah.
the thing is, if he in
Freud was confusing his own psychology with everyone
Yes,
else's.
With everyone
because
else.
he was sick. He had a relation
was
with
sick.
his mother. He had a relation with his mother.
Yeah.
So, and that's and my guru said. She said if he was in India, they would have ripped him apart in pieces because that's against all God, the godlike view.
Yeah.
So
No.
one example.
That is why. That's why I didn't say anything when y'all said y'all read the book and Susan said she didn't, because I knew if I didn't say anything, I wouldn't get my own self in trouble. Because when you open your mouth, the bones fall out, the truth falls out. And it actually makes sense with Freud because his nephew was Eddie Bernays and the sick things he did from
Yes.
the book he wrote.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Know when to shut up. Know when to hold.
If
Know when to
we in the West
Yeah.
had not had Jung and Reich, but
Yes.
especially Jung,
Yeah.
to
We were
give
totally-
us a completely opposite counterpoint
Yeah.
for psychoanalysis, we would be totally lost.
Yeah, totally.
Totally
Yeah, that's
lost.
why. But my guru said he was a demon. Like, I mean, he was possessed by a demon, Freud, and that was his intention to mesmerize the West.
Perhaps.
But it didn't work in India and in
Didn't.
other cultures.
No.
Luckily.
No, and most mainstream psychology has finally, I think, separated the wheat from the chaff there in Freud.
yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're still trying.
But it's still
They're
shit.
still trying.
Oh,
I
sure,
love those
definitely.
people
Yeah.
today, like
Yeah,
the
of
little
course it is.
weird stuff that they
Yeah.
release that's actually going on that we really can't talk about because it's going to end us back in Facebook jail. They're
Right.
still trying to normalize this junk.
Oh yeah,
Still
big-
normalizing it.
I had to
It was
learn it
big.
in psychology when I went
Yeah.
to my
Sure.
first year. I mean, I did
Sure.
1 year university, but I find,
Yeah.
and I was totally against it then because my instinct said I didn't like it. And I said to the teacher, actually, I don't like those ideas. I think it's totally bullshit. And of course, he said, I couldn't, yeah, I was totally, how you say, degraded by that teacher. But I said it was so crazy, and it shocked me then because I come from a village. That's those things, a little village, nothing like. I
No.
mean,
It's
yeah,
Right.
that's
let me
totally-
say a few things
sorry,
here. It's
sorry,
important
you
to identify that what Uspensky is talking about in terms of the use of the word psychology here. He is equating psychology with what we would basically say self-examination. Socrates would say self-examination.
Self-examination.
We moderns would call it meditation.
Yes.
But that is another term that has become very confused.
Yeah, very
Meditation
superficial.
has. Very superficial.
Because
Yeah, I
Because-
call it self-aware because you're aware of what you're doing. You're aware of yourself.
I think
If you're
I think
totally
if
aware,
we do not
fine.
if we do not stress the absolute importance for self-honesty and objectivity with oneself, then we are going to get lost because we all have tremendous capacity to deceive ourselves. There is something in us which does not want us studying ourselves.
yeah,
yeah.
Definitely.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's always the truth.
And another thing is that he also makes a distinction there, which is going to be brought out later and in other of his works and Gurdjieff's works, is that this is an intermediate stage. Psychology is the means where we get to supra psychology, the development of supernatural powers, which he says that we are capable of. But our focus is, and that's the focus of religion. Christianity talks about the ability to love one's enemies and incredibly advanced forms of prayer. Jacob Needleman, in his book Lost Christianity, is discussing the exact same thing that Uspensky and Gurdjieff were talking about. Is that what is missing in Christianity is the intermediate phase, and that is all about studying yourself.
Yeah, but
That
it
was the original
But that's
meaning
not
of
what-
prayer.
yeah.
Prayer
But
meant
that's what-
meditation.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was not what Jesus taught. Jesus taught, he taught actually to go inside, but it is not mentioned in the Bible. That's a totally different thing.
Yes,
Sure.
he did.
Because we don't know not even 70% what Jesus taught, because it's not mentioned in the Bible.
Well,
because it was already taking over in the beginning by those rulers.
if the Vatican had not gotten the power of the Roman state behind
Yes.
them, our history would be completely different.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And if we have the real Bibles, the true one written by the I think by the one which is Matthew or of
Thomas?
John, yeah, Thomas.
Yeah,
That's a
Gospel
good
of
one.
Thomas.
one's
All of
totally
the Gnostic,
different.
all of the Gnostic literature, all
Yeah.
of it was purged.
Well, that's what I wanted
All
to
of it was
say
purged.
because it's actually in the Egyptian Book of the Dead too,
Yeah,
and actually the Hermetica
yeah,
that the kingdom of God is in you. But
yeah.
in the Book of Thomas, it says the kingdom of God is inside you and all around you. How we talk about being connected to everything, and
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
before.
that you won't find me in a temple made with human hands. And we call this the temple, temples, and you go within the temple to
Right,
pray, to
right.
find God.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a
And-
lot. There's a
This
lot.
has to
I
be
got
clear,
to
yeah.
jump in.
Right.
Okay.
A lot. It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. So, and I don't even know where to go back to. So, first question, because I think we lose people when we say supernatural, right?
Yes.
Is the human being capable of supernatural powers, right? Like
Yes.
we live in a time right now where I think most people on this planet, or most people in my society, that's all I can speak to, they do not believe at all that human beings are capable of any supernatural powers. So my first question
Right.
would be, is the human being capable of supernatural powers? And is there any evidence of that these people could actually look up to identify some studies or science proving to them that human beings are capable?
If you're totally connected, you have.
Mhm.
Like Moses, all those prophets they have, I think they could. Like
Moses,
also Lao
Jesus.
Tse, Confucius, Moses,
Yeah.
Mohammed, all those they were 100% attuned. So they used it. They could use the powers, but they use it only for the good. I mean, not for proving themselves, because they sacrificed themselves also because it was necessary in the evolution. So it's not like Jesus could destroy everyone who attacked him, but he didn't because he had to go through what he has
Right.
had to go through. So you have to
There's
know.
a
I mean,
scripture for that.
Yeah.
There's a scripture for that. So everyone is given spiritual gifts, and they say that those gifts are for the perfecting of the saints. You can't use your gifts for your own greedy purposes or power.
yes,
That you can only
Yes.
do them for the perfecting of the saints. And Christ said, "Greater things I have done, you will do also."
yeah.
Mhm.
You know, but that's a Christian reference. How about other religious or spiritual practices?
Okay.
Because that throws people off. Like people who are Christian,
Wait,
I think it's
what do you
easy 'cause
mean?
the Bible is full of
Yeah.
a lot of interesting things. And like you mentioned, the Dead Sea Scrolls prove that they altered the Bible. So that discussion really should end for most people, but they don't want that discussion in.
Yeah.
They pulled out the Gnostic texts because the kings wanted to control religion, but that's a longer story. But what about the other phase and the other practices? Like
Yes.
when I look at things that I don't understand, and I know that I'm indoctrinated to believe certain things in an isolated way, I need to look at the other people and how they're being brought up, like Islam, you know, or Buddhism, or Hinduism, or Taoism, or like, are there other representations from around the world, mostly people who didn't have any contact with each other? Did they all come to the same conclusion that the human being has paranormal or superhuman abilities?
Well, it's in that, but those kind of stories are in every civilization
Yeah, I think
through all
And in
time in
every religion
history,
too. Yeah.
every religion. Yeah.
Yes, miracles. In every religions, there are miracles. I mean, yeah,
Yes.
that would be called miracles, but actually, it's actually our true powers. But it's, and I wouldn't call it supernatural. It's actually
Yeah, it's not
we
supernatural.
should have them.
It's actually
it should
more
be
natural.
Oh, yes. So what does that mean? Supernatural. When you hear that, what does that mean?
Just
Yeah,
another
it means
CIA
like
word. Keep
It
us
means
all
like you're
stupid.
you
Beyond
have
the
an-
norm, beyond what we see people do on a day-to-day basis based on where we are, perhaps.
Yeah, I guess.
So when someone heals without medicine or a doctor
Yeah,
or
like
whatever,
that,
we
yeah.
call it supernatural because we don't
Yeah.
see it on a regular basis.
But we
We
don't
don't
know
see
the
people
knowledge.
running
Yeah,
for 50 miles, but in
Yeah.
South America, they did it all the time. The runners for the king, so we call it supernatural, and it's not.
Yeah, Native Americans also could do it. I think they could run in the desert for long miles
Long
without
time.
drinking. Yeah, long time. Huh? Yeah, it's
But that's what I mean. Is it natural or is it just, your mind and your cells? Because
yeah,
it
it's,
is
it's
your thought
exploring. Yeah, it's
Well-
Right.
ignorance. It's
and your training. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's I think it's too easy to get lost in the language because
Yeah,
what really Uspensky is saying here is that you have to figure out A before you can go to B. You have to learn your first grade lessons before you can go to the second grade, basically.
Right.
And that's all it is. These are just verbal
Is it not-
distinctions, and that's all they are.
Is that not
You know-
what Jesus? Yeah, what you can relate to? Take first the beam out of your eye before you
Yes.
talk
Yes.
about others. analyzing
And-
other people. Yeah.
And in that same section in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, do not pray on the street corners like the hypocrites, but instead go into your home, go into your secret room,
Right.
and pray to your Father who sees you in secret.
Yeah.
Self-study.
So
Self-study. That's all it is. That's all it is. Self-study.
I want to tie that back because what you were reading, and so Kuspinski.
Uspensky.
Knocking
O-U.
on the door.
I read the book.
I can't type into comments.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
I
gonna have to
wish I
type
could
that
type
in
into
or
comments.
message
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'll have to do that.
So he mentioned, we laugh at what we don't understand, and I was
Shout too
wondering
loud.
why
Too loud. They
why-
want to sleep.
why do we laugh at what we don't understand? Is it because we're scared of it?
Yeah.
Is it because it's outside of our normal realm of understanding? It seems super to what our indoctrinated natural is. Is it sociopathy or narcissism? Are we reinforcing our own ignorance? Like,
fear.
why do we laugh at things we don't understand? I was going to say that, and I was going to tie it back to aliens because that's what I always love to do. And the damn UFO that the Pentagon is talking about, right? People laugh at that because it's outside their realm of understanding, right? They
Yeah.
don't know who Nikola Tesla is. They don't know what a Vimana is. They don't know
Mhm.
that the Aztecs were flying a long time ago, and that's why they got the geoglyphs. Whether they were using balloons to do it or they were using some other forgotten technology. But it's outside of your realms of natural. And so is it a psychological
Right.
defense to laugh at things you don't understand because it helps
I
to
think so.
build up
Yeah.
you and make you feel good about yourself?
Yeah.
It doesn't do that. It takes the pressure off of you.
Yeah.
Which is why Christians put Jesus on a pedestal. They made him the only son of God so that they wouldn't have to do any work.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And Crito, Socrates' friend, did the same thing with him. They've done the same thing with the Buddha. Human beings do this because there is something in us that resists our change and growth.
Yeah. And plus,
And
a lot of
unless we are
people-
honest with ourselves and looking at ourselves, we're not going to see how we are sabotaging our own development. Sorry, go ahead, Susan.
No, it's okay. Well, plus for one thing, right? We're indoctrinated for years, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So and it sucks being admitting like, I'm responsible for my life. It didn't matter all that happened. You know what I mean? It was me, Most people don't want to admit that. Most people like especially in today's world, oh, it's all this fault. Give me $1,000 a year and I'll be dependent upon you forever. Like, I don't know what's wrong with them people, but yeah. So,
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going.
Totally.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I love that about cannabis. I love that about cannabis.
Okay, so yeah, but okay, so one, people don't want to take responsibility for themselves.
Right.
And two, damn it, I don't know. I lost it.
Two is damn it, I don't know. And I agree with that. Because every day to me
Yeah,
it's just
it's true.
like, damn it, I don't know. I used to do videos every day.
Actually,
It was just like-
that's profound, Susan.
I don't
That's
know.
True. We don't know.
Like it's crazy. It's
I don't
crazy,
know
but damn it, I don't know. Those are reptilians, but damn it, I don't know.
I don't know. It was something about
UFOs, yeah.
self-examination, which apparently I need to do. I'll be all right. Okay. I'm back.
Only for a minute.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of other interesting things he said, and I was taking notes. So consciousness is intelligence.
Yeah.
It's huge. And
Yeah.
I'm still trying to piece that together in my mind. Like, what does he
Thank you.
mean by that? Consciousness. Well, consciousness, as he calls it intelligence.
Yes.
So he didn't view people who weren't conscious of themselves or the world or other human beings as intelligent.
No, yeah, I think so too. It's a difference between intellectuals and intelligent. Intelligence is you have your own way of discovering things. intellectuals that just repeat what is the narrative. I mean, that's how I see it. So therefore, you need to be intelligent to become
Yes.
conscious.
Yes.
Yeah.
You create intelligence and you create consciousness at the same time.
Yeah.
And what accounts for it? Well, all of the traditions say that the will, the human will, is a mystery because it's free. And we can choose to look at ourselves at any time.
Yeah, it's true.
And
Both
yeah,
of
go ahead.
us. We don't.
Yes. Yeah, we don't possess a
consciousness. We are a part of it.
Part of it.
And-
Yeah, because I was
and-
going to say, even if
Uspensky and Gurdjieff
babies
say
form it
exactly the
consciousness.
same thing. Exactly
Right.
the same thing. Is that we think we're conscious, but we're not.
No.
We can become conscious, but we are
made
not right now.
ourselves. We made ourselves think we're consciousness. We're
Yes.
divided up.
We're not.
It's all connected. We're all connected. We're all one, but we're given this schema of the whole.
Right.
I'm
Right.
on it. I agree. Makes perfectly
Yeah.
good sense.
Mhm.
And it makes no sense. And damn it, I don't know. Number 2, Susan's answer. Damn it, I don't know.
My
I love
theories change all the time. So whatever. Eventually I'll figure it out.
Well, you didn't want to know. We all decided together that you wouldn't know, so you wouldn't know.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
see,
you wouldn't figure
telepathic
it out.
powers. You're using them against me.
We made Fauci, and we made them the way that they are.
Yeah.
We made the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. We're
Mhm.
all connected. We're all a part of that same consciousness. And tied back to another thing he said. And we only use a very
If-
small amount of our powers
Right.
because we've all decided this needs to be some sort of a lifestyle and a path of rediscovering our real abilities. And there's a reason why we
Mhm.
weren't born knowing. We have to seek
Right.
Seek it.
God,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
which is in you.
Right.
Gnosticism.
Yeah.
Number
If
2.
a few more of us were actually actively, honestly looking at ourselves and being objective with ourselves, then Fauci would not be possible.
Right.
Would not be possible. He could not get away with what he gets away with. It just couldn't happen. People would laugh at him. People would laugh at him. Of course,
And
a lot of people are laughing at him.
Yeah.
And I think we have to like define intelligence because intelligent isn't someone like we were saying that just reads from the books and knows a lot of
Yeah.
things. Like,
Oh,
yeah, because
yeah. Mhm.
there's a lot of people that, you know, maybe not can't even read, but they're intelligent because they know how to be like a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have compassion. And I think there's a difference
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
in intelligence as we
It's nothing to
Use
do with
it.
school.
nothing to do with school or no.
And
No.
in an IT perspective, that's the difference between a CPU and a database, right? You can go to school and get a great degree just being a database. You could be dumb as a bag of bricks, but you can remember things, you can recite them. You sound intelligent because you know all these words that you were taught in medical school or you know in computer science or in law school. But it doesn't mean you're intelligent. It means you're a
Yeah,
database. It means you're a dog. It
Yeah.
means they can throw a ball and you can, woo, go get it, damn it. You
Right.
go get it, come back and get it.
Mhm.
And that's called a paycheck. Doesn't mean that you're intelligent. It just means that you're a database. Having that CPU is the key because that is what shows you what to do. Everybody has data. Not everybody has a functioning CPU.
Exactly. Exactly. Most
Yeah.
of them don't have a functioning CPU
Yeah.
or what they call it.
Ooh,
Program.
that's anything from Christine. That's why
Program.
you're a
CPU.
Facebook
She don't know what it
I
is
don't
like
ever
I
hear-
don't.
I never hear Christine say something negative. It's like Christmas when I hear Christine say, yeah, most people ain't got no damn CPU. She was
No.
kind of under her breath. That's why Facebook. You are so wonderfully positive, Christine. I'm sorry. I have to.
Oh.
And you guys miss some of the faces she makes sometimes.
Well, see, that's different.
And I'm like, I know what you're thinking.
That's
I know what
woman
you're
talk.
thinking.
That's different. That's different. See, John and I, we're not programmed to understand woman talk. We know y'all are talking, We see
Yeah.
a look in your face, and something is going on. You don't know. We have no damn idea what it is.
The guys here all know that the women have their goddess group, and we know we have an idea of what goes on in the goddess group, but we don't have details. But we all know.
Somebody about to get some, or somebody about to get hot grits, or a shot or something. We know something's going on. We're that smart. We know ears with dog. We know we can see that, but we don't know what the hell. We just gonna run, be safe, or bark.
Who are they talking about? I think they're talking about Harsh, or they're talking about Beaufont today, or they're talking about Gerard today.
They place a lot of importance on themselves, don't they? Like we sit there and talk about that.
It's a hate group, John. It's a hate group, ain't no men in that group. It's a racist group.
Oh my God, Susan, that was hilarious. Good one.
Shut it down.
All right. Okay.
Okay, let's refocus.
Breathe.
Yeah,
All right,
Beaufont
refocus
is-
here.
yeah.
All
Refocus
right,
here.
can I go through? Did everyone get their
Okay.
notes put on?
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
Beaufont
well, I
does know
took it-
everything. Beaufont does know everything. You see, the script in meditation is learning how to feel awareness. Yeah, it's true.
I missed that. Hold on. Go back. What's that?
There it is, right there. Mhm.
Meditation is learning how to feel
Yeah,
rather than thinking and think.
monkey mind.
Yeah, awareness. And awareness is
Emotions.
that's
Yes,
what you-
I think also one thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an English teacher. I talk about words. There
don't
is
hold that against
all okay. Good. There's the world of difference between the word consciousness and the word awareness, and you begin to understand the difference between those two by looking at the etymology of the word consciousness. It literally means con, which is a suffix. It means with. The root is psi, S-C-I, which is the same as science, the same as the word scissors, the same as the word sex. Two-ness. With two-ness. Okay? In science, you've got to have two things in order for measurement to occur. Scissors, a pair of scissors won't operate unless you have two blades. The sexes, we distinguish the sexes by them being two. Masculine is not feminine, feminine is not masculine. Consciousness requires two things. Consciousness requires opposites. Hot, cold, light, dark, up, down, etc. That's the ordinary monkey mind, right? But awareness is simply observation, simply looking, not making any assumptions, if that makes sense. That's
makes
one way
perfect
of, that's one way. Okay, good.
We're
So-
aware in the United States of Yemen.
Mhm.
We're aware of what we're
Mhm.
doing in Syria. We're
Yes.
aware of what we're doing in South America.
Right. Mhm.
We're not conscious of it. Most people are just aware. They know we're
Just aware of
dropping
it.
bombs.
Yeah.
But because they've got their own little apathetic political party or nonsense that they go with the monkey mind,
hmm
they're not conscious of it. They don't feel anything. I like what Sadhguru, I think it was Sadhguru. I don't know. I got a couple gurus. I think he said it. He said something to the effect of, consciousness is all sensing, right? You have to be sensing of all. He says when he speaks, he doesn't speak for men. He doesn't speak for India. He doesn't speak for, when he's speaking, as a guru, he has to be all sensing of everyone, always, that he has to be identity less.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that he really sent me down that path of
Mhm.
being conscious from, you can't have an identity
Right.
if you're conscious. There is no
Right.
consciousness with identity. You're not all sensing of everyone.
Well-
This is what they talk about, American
Consciousness assumes an I and a you. Awareness does not. Awareness simply observes. There is no I in awareness. There is no separate I in awareness.
Ooh, you'll just do whatever the billionaires tell you to. You're not even aware of your damn self. I mean, you are aware, but you're not even
Yes.
conscious. The billionaires say jump, you're like, hey, let's jump. The billionaires say come over here, you go over there. The billionaires say turn in your neighbors, you turn in your neighbors. you're not even aware of yourself. All
Yes.
that.
I
And does that
think
apply
there's
today?
I wouldn't phrase it just like that, Gerard,
Go for it.
because
You have to be
Oh.
aware of yourself, like self here in the physical world.
Aware, but
certain
not
extent.
conscious.
Like you
Like-
do have
like-
to have
It's
some
like
form
this.
of an identity.
it's like this. You
But you don't love your temple.
you see, but you are not fixed on your identity as a self.
Then you see
Right.
more.
Yes.
Then you see
Right.
more.
That is
Right.
consciousness.
Yes.
That is I am me and you are Christine, and we are not the same person, and we have blah blah blah, different opinions, different observations, different words, whatever.
But
Right?
that is
That's
also
consciousness. That's the
But
monkey
it's also
mind.
the beginning of awareness, because most people are not really aware. I think if you awareness means like, okay, like you're observing yourself, and then you grow into consciousness. I think one leads to the other. Is what I think.
Well,
And
Yeah.
it's my-
One lead, yeah, one leads.
We need
to the
we need
other,
to
but-
turn consciousness around and look at it, such as, really, how do I know that I'm this separate ego that is experiencing the world through separateness? I am not the mouse. I am not the book. The book is finite. It has boundaries. It has borders. And this is something that Alan Watts is really good at, is helping us question all of this knowledge, which is common sense, which is generated out of the pea brain, that this thing is called a book. That's what it is. Well, it's just a word. Do we know what this is? Do we really know what this is? Bless you.
It's droplets.
So,
There
you know, Alan Watts, and it's this kind of, breaking down the barriers of perception, and removing everything that is false. It's not necessarily false. It's not. We think it's true, and it's not. We don't know. We don't know what this is. We don't know what this is. These are just things. Yeah, go
Is
ahead.
conscious not being able, thing like you can say, being able to describe awareness? Because if you're aware, it does not always
Right.
mean that you're conscious of it. But when
There's
you start being
there's
conscious,
awareness.
then-
There's awareness behind consciousness, the
Yes.
witness
Yeah.
consciousness.
yeah.
Yeah, and we have to get back to
Yes.
that.
Because you can
Yeah.
be aware of something that you're doing and not
Of
do
course.
anything about it, which is
Yes.
not
Mhm.
the consciousness. If that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be aware that there's a train coming and you're standing on the tracks, but you just stand there.
Right.
You're aware of it, but you're not conscious enough to get off the tracks. You can be aware and you see other people eating organic food and you think it's a good idea because you get likes and subscriptions and it's virtue signaling, you eating organic and being vegetarian and everything. But then all of a sudden someone comes along and they got a cure, so you don't actually have to do anything. And you decide to take the cure, which is unnatural and unorganic. It's not gluten-free. It's not vegetarian. And you want to inject it in your body in a
mutative.
natural way. You're not conscious of yourself. You're willing to hurt yourself. You're a clone. You're going along. You're aware of these things happening, but you're not even conscious of your own temple to protect it. Let me say this real quick. This is why if you become a virtual professor, Jonathan, your classes will all last 28 years. Every class can be 28. You get 1 credit because you've read like 1 paragraph.
Well,
I still got 2 other questions.
that's not unusual. Aristotle studied with Plato for 17 years, and the only reason that discontinued is that Plato died. I've had a conversation with my teacher for 31 years.
Oh my
and
God. All right.
it's ongoing. So
So back to the Bible, Methuselah,
Yeah.
The Exodus, like the whole leaving the Garden of Eden, how people lived to be thousands of years, the king's list, blah, 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 all of that.
Right.
Our lives, there's a theory that our lives were
Yes.
short to 120 years,
Mhm.
like turning off the telomerase enzymes activity to repair cells, so we would die in 120 years, so we never get old enough to learn the rest of those powers and to finish these conversations.
Even if we had 200-year lifespans,
Yeah.
this
Still not
Earth would
enough.
be completely transformed.
Yeah, because think about it, right? Most people, especially in today's world, they don't even begin to discover themselves till their 30s, 40s,
Right.
unless like a major event happens in their life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And most people live their whole lives without even knowing who they are, just going through the motions, which is sad. And so really, you would need at least a whole another 100 years from the age of 40
Mhm.
In
to
our
actually live your
culture.
purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's different from culture to culture. I think in the old ancient cultures, you were taught to be aware, to become. I mean, we don't have that
Yeah.
culture anymore.
No.
Right.
So
Let me put a theory out there for you guys. I like to put myself in other people's shoes, just to think about what is really real versus what is popular.
Mhm.
If I were a part of these ancient mystery schools and I learned or I knew how to live for 1,000 years or 2,000 years, and my family and my friends and we were ruling, we had the most jewels, the power and control, it wouldn't be out of sight to decide it would be a good idea to limit the lifespans of everybody else to simply control them. And eventually one day they would think it's normal to die before the age of 120 while we go on far beyond.
Yeah.
Keeping that knowledge, keeping that power, keeping that control. And if you were even to mention that somebody living to be 155 years old or 500 years old, as that man in China who discovered certain herbs that are now known to reactivate the telomerase enzyme that a company's bottling called TA65, but we're not even going to go there. They'll laugh at it. They'll think it's crazy because it's outside of their realm of norm, which is what we just talked about. You know, if it's not natural to you because you don't see people around you doing it, it's supernatural and it's laughable because it helps you to protect this idea that we're not all really largely ignorant and being kept like mushrooms in a box and fed BS.
Right. We're basically trapped in a Newtonian Cartesian physics, and we've accepted it as our metaphysics, as our belief about the world. And that is like, Newton basically described atoms as little billiard balls, and ping, 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 and the universe is made up of these things. It's not. The theoretical physics, the contemporary physics, has basically taken a few of those ideas and then discarded all the rest of it. This is just energy. This is just energy. This is just energy. What else is it? Well, that's a mystery. But we can't, I've had many conversations with Beaufort about this, some of them online. You cannot... I'll use a quotation. Okay, this comes from Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, who was
Indian.
We're way beyond my skill level at this point.
an Indian realized master. He died in 1981, and he said, "It is not important that you understand. It is only important that you not misunderstand." Which turns the whole problem on its head.
It's losing.
It corrects the mind. The mind's real function is to eliminate the false, not to find out what's true, but to eliminate the false.
Yep.
That it can do.
That's been said many different ways.
It has.
Then you
It
avoid
has.
ego, because when
Yes.
you
Yes.
think, okay, I have it, you lose it again, because whenever we say I, we are again out. I mean, we are separation again. We again attached to our ego.
Right.
I think it happens.
Well,
Yeah.
So we live in a world where they've given us the I, because that's another thing I would do. I would make people focused on themselves. I would give them the narcissistic and the sociopathic ideas that they need to go to school and get a degree so they can buy more junk and they can live in a bigger house. They can drive a faster car. They can do all the things that are completely meaningless, make them into mindless consumers that chase these things that give them a convenient life so that they never live their lives. So that they always live the life that I gave them. So that they consume, they die as my free labor because you don't actually get anything, right? You're not being paid. I'm printing the money. I own them, all the jewels, and I'm giving those things to you, and I take them back when you die. So you don't actually do anything while you're here. You collect, you come here with nothing, you collect trash, and you leave here with nothing as a consumer.
Without awareness, that's the most,
Yeah.
that's the saddest part. If you live without material, that's nothing, but without knowledge, without true knowledge.
Right.
And we don't actually possess anything. They technically possess us, really. Because we came here with nothing, and we leave with just ourselves.
Yeah.
Not even
what
our
kind of
body.
weed you
Not
smoking
even our
on?
body.
And
comes
what we've
with
learned. And what
What's the
we've
name of
learned.
that weed? What's the name of the weed? What's the name of that weed? I'm starting with that one. When I finally smoke something, I'm gonna start with that one. Please say that again, woman. Please say that again. Did you remember?
that we don't really possess anything. Like we don't have possessions. Our possessions possess us because we came here with nothing. We leave with nothing but ourselves. We don't even leave with our bodies.
Boom, boom, mic drop.
True.
That's why I love being around smart people. I love y'all. Y'all so much fun. I used to think about this stuff in my own little ignorant head. I loved having these conversations. Damn it.
Yeah.
That's why I can't
stand that up to
Mark
the Hermetica. I
Zuckerberg.
read that last night.
Was it Hermetica?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That made me think of.
That's why it's important to detach from everything. Detachment.
All the sages are in agreement. They're all in agreement with each other.
Right.
But I still need to know the name of that.
I mean, we like the stuff, you know what I mean? But still, you just gotta be like, it's not a big deal if it's gone.
Right.
How do you do that though? Explain that. So how do you take the
I don't want to hear that sad story.
Huh?
Said you don't want to hear that sad story.
Well, no. I know for me, I'm asking for you guys, like, how do you detach from the shackles? Because that's really what they are, right?
Yeah.
Like all these things are shackles. It's like, not here, but on Harsh had an earlier post, which is why I was late. I was watching Harsh. He had a brother on there, and they were talking about college education and how, they send you to school to make you beholden to the system, right? The longer you're in school, the more you're invested in it. The more they give you, the more money you make, the more income. They give you lifestyles that it makes you want to embrace and support the system. How do you get to a point? Because I almost became one of the worst people on the planet. I was close. I was trying my best. And then one day I kind of woke up. How do you escape becoming free labor, consumerism, embracing the system and all the trash it has to offer, and living a completely almost useless life as a division from the whole? How do you escape it?
Becoming aware, I think. It's in your evolution that you are bound to, to learn the true self. Every human will meet it one time. Some through very events, very dramatic events. So they start looking behind the material world, and then the seeking starts on what actually are we here for? What is our goal in life?
Right.
And I think you can technically be in the matrix, but still be free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, because physically, this is our society.
We
are
in
here
the world, but not of the world.
Survive, right? You know what I mean?
That's
but
what Jesus says. Also, you're in the world, but not of the world.
Not of the world.
Right.
And that's not. So, we are. I am attached. So every time you think, okay, I need this, then you're attached. Instead of believing what you need will come to you. That is being free.
Yeah. Gerard,
that's what
getting back to your why are we prisoners? Why don't we break free of our shackles? Well, Plato's answer is because you're not aware of them. In the cave, the prisoners aren't aware that they're in a cave. They're unaware that they're in a prison. It is their mind that is enslaving them. Yeah. It is their mind and their ignorance of the fact that there is this thing called a cave. They think that cave is the entire universe because they've never even looked behind them. Mm-hmm. Not once. Yeah. They are unaware of the fire. They're unaware of the walkers behind them that are casting the shadows on the wall that they think are real. Mm-hmm. When we become aware of that situation by getting up, turning around, then the solution itself presents itself, which is, oh yeah, way back there, there's an opening to the surface. And all we have to do is walk to it. But in order to do that, we have to go through pain because we've never used our legs, we've never used our eyes. It's painful looking at the light. We're going to be blind, and we're going to be totally reliant on that person that came down from the surface to rescue us. Hopefully that addresses some.
I just want to say, like, and that's like today, what's happening now. Like, a lot of people, like, even with like, oh, we'll give you the UBI and, we'll give you health care.
Yeah.
They're not realizing they're giving up their independence.
Yes.
You're becoming dependent upon the same psychopaths that started this. Like,
right. Mm-hmm.
That's insane. But
you beat universal basic income. I thought you said UTI. I thought you
Whatever.
were talking about us getting our infections. I was trying to figure that one out. I was like, huh? Susan, what I got to do?
UBI, right? That's what we call.
I'm sorry, guys. My mind does things. I want to take it back to Buddha real quick. Yeah, sometimes, I ask rhetorical questions, but people who know me know that.
Yeah.
But I already know how I pick up. So, just one day you start becoming aware, like Christine was saying. Mm-hmm. For me. But I didn't want to wake up. I'll be honest with you. I became aware. I was like, what? Not have a big house and a fast car? You crazy? You know how pretty women you can get with these cars? No. Waking up constantly, leaving the cave. No, we gonna sit right here in this cave. We gonna keep on going. And but there was something more to it. I'll be honest with you. I don't lie. That's a lie. I do lie. But I don't lie intentionally. Everybody lies. There was more to it. I became aware. And I said, F no, I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna keep getting this money. They're flying me to London. It's, oh no, get this money. And then I think a series of events had to happen in my life. I think, Jonathan, you said it, pain. Mm-hmm. A series of events happen.
Yeah.
Where you really start to connect to, is this it? Like, I know I can have more. I know I can add zeros to it. I know
pain is just the universe slapping us awake. That's all it is.
And then you watch how money doesn't save people. You watch, and I remember looking up and looking at my manager and vice president and the president. I'm like, you guys' lives suck. Like, your kids are jacked up. They're on drugs. They got China on a laptop smoking crack cocaine and all kind of crazy. Like, I don't want to be y'all. Like, I don't want kids like y'all got worse problems than we got. Biggie wrote that song, More Money, More Problems.
More problems.
And finally, there was enough. Maybe, there's a scripture. There's a scripture says that the Holy Spirit works from within to save those. And finally, I got enough consciousness in, just a drop of it, where I realized I don't want your life. And that was when I started to walk away, to realize that that's when I started to see the change. I couldn't see the change before. Like you said, Jonathan, posting on MySpace. This is my car. This is where I'm going to live. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm traveling to. And you don't realize you're posting your chains. And you're proud of it.
Your stickers.
These are my hello. You weren't here on a previous episode of Gerard. Susie Q mentioned stickers, right? Please reference the movie office space.
And not
Yeah.
just any stickers, merit badges. The ones
Yeah.
you can sew on your clothes.
And then when you talk about
Like a big yellow star.
not the ones that your mama do. Yeah, because your mama do the ones with the little sticker and like the sticky stuff, and you use the iron to iron on. No, because those fall off. Like grandma. Grandma
Right.
get the sewing kit. You know, you get in there, you get that real good back.
Mhm.
But it's always just so evil and retarded. Carl, I'm not supposed to say that word. I gotta change how I talk. I really end up in Facebook jail too long.
Right.
But so you're walking around like a person in the military. My father was in the military. He had this shirt and had all these ribbons and everything. And I wanted to be just like that. I went to ROTC and Civil Air Patrol and all that stuff. I want to get all my stickers, all my patches and stuff. And in Susan's example, your stickers are your cars, your money, your wealth, your Bitcoin, your all your dollars, your all of these things that are meaningless in the grander scheme. And it doesn't mean that you don't need them.
Oh, you need
Right.
them.
But
Yeah.
You live in the matrix.
Yeah.
but right,
But-
but being proud of the things that enslave us, you know. So
Yeah,
my
it's
mind
like,
how
like
much did Jonathan read?
Yeah, like
I
Jonathan
mean, I wish
said-
I had more.
Yeah, but
Half
yeah,
a page. Half a page.
live in the world, but
Believe me,
like
there's a
Jonathan
lot more
said-
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Jonathan said, live in the world, but be. I mean,
But not of it. Yeah.
but not of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Not of
thing.
it, yeah.
And that
It's-
is not. I mean, actually, it's not really easy.
And that's the principle of detachment, which is in
Yes.
every sacred tradition all over the world.
And all incarnations
Detachment.
were master of that.
Mhm.
All incarnations
Yes.
are master of that. All,
Yes.
all gurus, most of gurus are master. of
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, not attached to anything here, especially themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to
Okay,
lie.
should I-
Not
should I-
aware of the water.
Should I read one more sentence and then we can discuss it for the next half
man,
hour?
I ain't got 8 hours left. No. I was gonna say I was gonna look at comments real quick. Caesar
Okay.
said
Yeah.
a fish
All right.
is not aware of water. It's a view of the world around it
Yeah.
in a whole.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Fish isn't aware of water. The ants aren't aware they're in an ant hill. The elephants don't know that they're in a zoo. You know, we don't know the world around us. And that's the problem. The world around us is being kept from us. And so we're happy to continue on as we are. What did I miss? I had a good joke. I
It's
liked it last.
it's worse. It's worse when you know that the Beaufont meme is coming because it is
Yeah.
coming.
What did I say? Who said it? Somebody. I
Just
said
his
it.
comment. His comment.
Who said
He's,
it?
he
I
he
didn't
said
read it
he
again.
said I apologize in advance for the meme I just posted.
Oh boy.
Okay, I wanted to
All right.
add because you guys were talking about pain, but
Yeah.
pain is one of the biggest transformers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
you could let it transform you into something bad
That
or
shit
evil
works.
or angry.
It works.
It can work
Right.
both
Yeah.
ways.
It could
Mhm.
work either way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's in the ancient text too. Well, at least the Emerald Tablets and the Hermetica, that suffering leads to transformation. It's almost like the human spirit kind of has to be in conflict with the matter, with the earth, in order to transform and
Yeah.
level up out
Mhm.
of this. Yeah.
That's true. But it will
Gerard,
not be anymore.
I'd like to point out Beaufont's other comment where he says, there it is, and most of us using the truther movement merely to distract themselves from their selves, our real act of rebellion may just be in making an actual life for
Like for
ourselves.
Yeah,
ourselves.
actually it is.
Yes.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. I almost want to speak on it. I'm not going to.
If
So-
we do not learn how to be honest with ourselves,
Yeah.
then we are never going to make any progress whatsoever.
He's referencing something we all recently observed. And I'm not going to go too far with it, but there are people who aren't interested in what's true or the truth. And I hate the name truthers. I don't know.
I hate
don't
it
know.
too.
To me, it feels like we're 8, and I don't want to be 8 anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
And doesn't
let's
it feel
do
like
Elon, you know?
We're seek-
Go ahead, Christine.
It's more like we are seeking, truthers. We are
Yeah.
we're probably maybe still miles away from the truth.
We
Yes.
are all students
Yeah.
as long as we
Exactly.
are looking at ourselves in this way.
Yeah.
like it's dumb. I mean, you know what? So it's not dumb. It's just I think sometimes people in the audience, it's like, oh, okay, they're the truthers, whatever. But when you're up here and you don't know what the hell you're talking about,
Yeah, I
number
don't
two,
know.
Susan, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
No, I admit
It's
it.
just stupid. Like, huh? I'm guessing. I'm trying to figure this joker out. So I hate the name, but something just recently transpired, right? And I think people get tripped up sometimes. Things happen. We're human beings. Indoctrination is a hell of a drug, and we end up in behaviors perhaps that we shouldn't be involved in. And but what he's saying is valid, right? In tough times, you do want to look around and decide for yourself, is someone vested in practicing what they preach?
Right.
And this is where it's beautiful that it seems that we do have a lot of people here who can simply admit when they're wrong. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong. Sometimes it just means that they were involved in some behavior that wasn't correct. Right. So I think I know what he's referring to, and I don't think it's necessary to even go through the details. I just think that we all should really try to be mindful of the activities we get involved in and who it serves. Because some people are here trying to make lives for themselves, which eventually holds up a system that doesn't allow the truth to come out. It's outside of the political, movements, which I'm trying to stay away from even talking about. But, you've got your KKK and you've got your Black Panthers, and people choose sides and they don't seem to realize, but the people at the top are making lives for themselves and great retirements, earning stuff, keeping conflicts going. When you have a vested interest in the conflict, then you don't want those lives to matter. You don't want the good old boys to be free again, because your life and your retirement, the future of your children and everything is based on it.
Okay, I don't know where you went with that, but anyway, so I don't know where that came from. But and now I'm gonna forget what I was gonna say.
It's a hell of a drug.
It's gone.
It's because I had the thought, and then he wouldn't stop talking and went on to the KKK, which I have no idea what had to do with any of this.
You know why? Because you're too nice. You need to jump right in and say, "Damn it!" Anytime we jump in you all the time, you gotta stop being nice. It's the weed. Don't smoke Boo Boo Kush no more.
I know.
Don't smoke that.
No.
That it makes you smart but patient.
See, you're not listening. All right. Okay, I remember. Damn it! No, I forgot to
Yeah, shush me on my own show, woman. I'm gonna keep doing this to her. I love you. I love y'all to death. Oh
my God!
What did you smoke, Susan? Was it Monkey Kush?
It's so hard.
Bubble gut? What is it called?
Damn it! It was a good one.
I'm a jerk.
Darn
I'm
it.
sorry.
I know, it was all good. See? It was like a really good thing. I know it was. Now I forget.
Oh, I know. It'll be back. Don't worry about it.
I know it'll be back. It'll be back. And I'm jumping in.
Yeah, jump.
No.
You off again. It's coming back.
All right. Whatever.
I get that from both
All right.
Blame him. Don't be mad at me.
Yeah.
I
was about to say something profound. But
I know.
Gerard messed it up.
Because every time I'm about to say something profound, go find a meme of an anus and some cupcakes.
Yeah.
No, don't blame him. That was all you.
No, blame him. He brings the bad behavior here. I'm not taking responsibility for my behavior. I'm to be aware, not conscious.
Okay. Well, this is something I remembered from earlier when I forgot. Okay, so I'm going to say this instead. So religion, because we were talking about religions, right? And that is a human construct. And I do think religions are good to like maybe get you on a spiritual path. But I think spirituality is completely individual. Like you may, like everybody may do sage, but the way it works or in the meaning in their head and how they use it is still individual, unique. I do think our spirituality is unique to each of us. It's
True.
not something you can, like, the way I connect may be totally different from the way Christine connects and the way Jonathan connects. As long as you connect, I think it's a very individual.
Yeah, the path to God is individual path. You cannot bring someone else on it.
Yes.
It's very
No.
important to know. And that's
You can-
why you have to be
You can take
yourself.
advantage of books
of
and
course.
teachers.
advice. Yeah.
And my God, you can save a lot of time doing that
Yeah.
if you do it focused and in a way. But it's like the scene in The Razor's Edge where Bill Murray's character, Larry Darrell, is up at the top of the mountain. And he realizes that it's not the book, that he has to walk through the door himself. So what does he do? He tears the book page by page and puts it in the fire. That scene shows that he is realizing that he has to do it himself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like going on the top of the mountain. You can read 5 million books, but still have to do it.
Yes.
And that's a lot of people you
Yeah.
can read about spirituality, but that
Right.
not really are
Right.
spiritual. And that's,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But anyhow,
Yeah.
all things.
Should I read another few lines here? Should I do
I
that?
think we should,
We good?
unless Christ
Okay.
is supposed to something. That was the last comment.
Let's see.
Yeah, please.
Praying, meditating, my spirituality has been very bright. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should, as it should be. As it should be.
Yeah.
Because because inwardness is another universal teaching among all the sages. And that you do not you don't Jesus says, don't make a show of your religion on the street corners like the hypocrites do. They have their reward. Because then you're just going to be one of the priests, you know,
Yeah.
that are going to be lording it over everyone else.
There's a scripture that says when you're praying, you're supposed to be praying in a closet where no one can hear you.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. Go ahead, Susan.
But I do think, I mean, maybe in ancient times we would say it's more rituals, but I do think that there is a time for prayer meditation alone and prayer meditation together. Because if you've ever been
Yeah.
somewhere, you can
Sure.
feel that energy.
Well, we're having a
Like
conversation.
Avebury.
We're having a group meditation right now
Right. Really.
by helping each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you meditate and everybody meditates, the vibes
Yeah.
got
She's
much
got more to say.
stronger. Yeah.
She's got more to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going with Christine because I know
Okay.
Christine gets this, like where you've been with
Yeah.
other people and you're all like focusing, kind of saying the same things, and you can feel the vibrations and energies like growing. And
Right.
that's
They just
with the Avebury last week with the new moon ceremony and
Yes.
everything.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's literally channeling energy.
Right.
And in the Bible,
Right.
to remember my
Mhm.
name, God is there, right? Because it's
Yeah.
the energies are mixing.
Right.
and that was woman energy
Definitely.
for men in the room. That was woman. That's woman ESP, where they can look at each other's face and they know what each other's going to say. That's what you watch out
She's
for
my
right
twin.
there.
From
That's
another
when they
life.
plot.
Yeah.
Mark that right there. Because there's no damn way that you should know from Belgium and America what she was thinking, unless it's something else. Right there, right, Jonathan? That's
Right across that Atlantic Ocean. Right across it.
they're
Uh-huh.
plotting.
Uh,
They got
Yeah.
connections we don't have yet.
That's right.
Yeah, we have our moons. We have good moons.
I can't look at Jonathan. I have no damn idea what Jonathan's gonna say. I look at Jonathan and I'm just clueless. Like, hey, John. And we only like 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles apart. Christine,
Yeah.
8,000 miles on the other side of the damn planet, spinning the other way. It's 4 a.m. over there, and they know what each other thinking. I look at Jonathan and I'm like, hi, John.
Hey,
Say
Gerard.
something. All right.
All right. Why don't I continue? Why don't I continue a little
Yes,
bit here?
let's do
There's
that.
there's a lot more here.
Yeah, because it's almost dinner time and someone already came knocking.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm Cinderella over here.
What's for dinner?
Mama.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we begin by defining psychology as study of oneself. You have to learn certain methods and principles, and according to these principles and using these methods, you will try to see yourselves from a new point of view. If we begin to study ourselves, we first of all come up against one word which we use more than any other, and that is the word I. We say, I am doing, I am sitting, I feel, I like, I dislike, and so on. This is our chief illusion, for the principal mistake we make about ourselves is that we consider ourselves one. We always speak about ourselves as I, and we suppose that we refer to the same thing all the time, when in reality we are divided within ourselves into hundreds and hundreds of different I's. At one moment, when I say I, one part of me is speaking. And at another moment, when I say I, it is quite another I speaking. We do not know that we have not one I, but many different I's, connected with our feelings, desires, and having no controlling singular I. These I's change all the time. One suppresses another, one replaces another, one struggles against another, or many struggle against each other. And all this struggle makes up our inner life. I's, which we see in ourselves, are divided into several groups. Some of these groups are legitimate. They belong to right or correct divisions of man, thought, emotions, and so on. And some of them are quite artificial and are created by insufficient knowledge and by certain imaginary ideas that man has about himself. To begin self-study, it is necessary to study methods of self-observation, but that again must be based on a certain understanding of the divisions of our functions. Our ordinary idea of these divisions is quite wrong. We know the difference between intellectual and emotional functions. For instance, when we discuss things, when we think about them, when we compare them, when we invent explanations or find real explanations, this is all intellectual work, whereas love, hate, fear, suspicion, and so on are emotional items and emotional work. But very often, when trying to observe ourselves, we mix or confuse even intellectual and emotional functions with each other. When we really feel, we call it thinking. When we think, we call it feeling. But in the course of study, we shall learn in what way they differ. For instance, there is an enormous difference in speed, but we shall speak more about that later. Then there are two other functions which no system of ordinary psychology divides and understands in the right way: instinctive function and moving function. Instinctive refers to the inner work of the organism: digestion of food, beating of the heart, breathing. These are instinctive functions. To instinctive function belongs also the ordinary senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, the feeling of cold and warmth, things like that. And this is all, really. Of outer movements, only simple reflexes belong to instinctive function, because more complicated reflexes belong to moving function. It is very easy to distinguish between instinctive moving functions, between instinctive and moving functions. We do not have to learn anything that belongs to instinctive function. We are born with the capacity to use all the instinctive functions. Moving functions, on the other hand, all have to be learned. A child learns to walk, to ride a bicycle, to write, and so on. There is a very great difference between the two functions, since there is nothing inherent in moving functions, and instinctive functions are all inherent. So in self-observation, it is necessary, first of all, to divide these four functions and to classify at once everything that you observe, saying, this is intellect, this is emotion, and so on. If you practice this observation for some time, you may notice some strange things within yourself. For instance, you will find that what is really difficult in observing is that you forget about it. You start to observe and your emotions connect with some kind of thought and you forget about self-observation. Again, after some time, if you continue this effort to observe, which is a new function not used in the same way in ordinary life, you will notice another interesting thing, that generally you do not remember yourself. If you could be aware of yourself all the time, then you would be able to observe all the time, or in any case, as long as you liked. But because you cannot remember yourself, you cannot concentrate. And this is why you will have to admit that you have no will. If you could remember yourself, you would have will and could do what you liked. But you cannot remember yourself. You cannot be aware of yourself, and so you have no will. You may sometimes have a will for a short time, but it turns to something else, and you forget about it. This is the situation, the state of being, the state from which we have to start self-study. But very soon, if you continue, you will come to the conclusion that almost from the very beginning of self-study, you have to correct certain things in yourself which are not right, to arrange certain things which are not in their right places. The system has an explanation for this. We are made in such a way that we can live in 4 states of consciousness, but such as we are, we use only 2. One when we are asleep, and the other when we are what we call awake. That is to say, in this present state, when we can talk, listen, read, write, and so on. But these are only 2 out of 4 possible states. The third state of consciousness is very strange. If people explain to us what the third state of consciousness is, we begin to think that we have it. The third state can be called self-consciousness. And most people, if asked, say, "Oh, certainly we are conscious." A sufficient time or repeated and frequent efforts of self-observation is necessary before we really, truly recognize the fact that we are not conscious, that we are conscious only potentially. If we are asked, we say, "Yes, I am." And for that moment we are. But the next moment we cease to remember ourselves, and we are not conscious. So in the process of self-observation, we realize that we are not in the third state of consciousness, that we live only in 2. We live either in sleep or in a waking state, which in the system that I'm talking about is called relative consciousness. Now, the fourth state, which is called objective consciousness, is inaccessible to us because it can only be reached through self-consciousness. That is, by becoming aware of oneself first, so that much later we may manage to reach the objective state of consciousness. So at the same time as self-observing, we try to be aware of ourselves by holding the sensation of "I am here," nothing more. And this is the fact that all Western psychology, without the slightest exception, has missed. Although many people came very near to it, they did not recognize the importance of this fact and did not recognize that the state of man, as he is, can be changed. That man can remember himself if he tries for a very long time. It is not a question of a day or a month. It is a very long study, and a study of how to remove obstacles. Because we do not remember ourselves. We are not conscious of ourselves. We forget ourselves, owing to many wrong functions in our machine. And all these functions have to be corrected and put right. When most of these functions are put right, these periods of self-remembering will become longer and longer. And if they become sufficiently long enough, we shall acquire 2 new functions. With self-consciousness, which is the third state of consciousness, we acquire a function which is called our higher emotional center. Although there is an equally intellectual center, because on this level, there is no difference between intellectual and emotional, such as there is on the ordinary level. And when we come to the state of objective consciousness, we acquire another function which is called higher mental. Phenomena of what I call supernormal psychology belong to these 2 functions. And this is why, when I made those experiments 25 years ago, I came to the conclusion that experimental work is impossible because it is not a question of experiment, but of changing one state of consciousness. And that's the end of that section.
Okay.
Good. Oh, well, that's good. That's all right. Hey, there you go. Perfect time.
I got lost a little bit from time to time.
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah,
It's
just
dense.
the emotions.
Yeah.
It's dense,
So
but there is
You're
so
like-
much there.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
There
dense.
is so much there.
At first, when we were talking about objective consciousness, it was like you can't reach it, and I'm like, what? Yes, you can.
He
People
says
can
you
reach
can
it.
reach it. He says you
Yeah.
can reach it, but
Yeah.
it takes effort over a long period of time.
And we
Yeah.
confuse a lot is feelings, emotions,
Yes.
and intellect, and
Yes.
and I think
Right.
that's true.
And I think you have
what we
moments.
feel, and we feel what we think.
Right.
So those
The
two
Chinese say
things are-
perseverance overcomes all evil.
Yeah.
It
But,
does,
and I
but
think
there's work.
like
Yeah, go ahead.
because we're not perfect, we're all messed up, right? So, but I think some of us do have moments of that
Yeah. Well,
higher.
yes,
Right.
we are
Higher.
as we are now. We are all messed up, but
Yeah.
there's a way to unmess ourselves up.
Yeah.
Right, but I
Yeah,
think
we
we
can
do
get
have those
unmessed
moments
up.
from time to time
Yes.
of remembering. Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we do.
definitely.
you know, I guess it's just like the goal to try to maintain it or
Buddha.
remember more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Shouldn't say, don't give up hope. This is
No.
how it is, but none of you will ever
Right.
reach it.
Right.
Yeah, what kind of stuff?
Oh no. Well, if there was no hope for us, then how would we account for the Buddha, for Socrates, for Jesus,
Right.
for Krishna, for all of them?
Da Vinci.
They were all like us,
So I said,
and they persevered.
They had
Yeah.
more love.
Nice.
They didn't,
They did actually.
they didn't eat their neighbor's love. They had more love. They didn't.
It was like at one moment I thought, yeah, compassion is actually a combination of intelligence and emotion.
And
I think
emotions.
that's
Yes,
it, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because it's stupid to be like, it's very stupid to fight each other. Like
Yeah,
Gerard, you tell,
It is.
instead of going we fight each other with division.
Mm-hmm.
That's a stupid thing. But if we would have compassion, we would not do that.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a kind of intelligence.
Well,
Right.
compassion
Love,
only
not
becomes
broken love.
possible when we know ourselves,
Yeah.
because we know that we are a mess or were a mess,
Right.
and are becoming something else, and just leave it at that, instead of trying to define what we are now.
Yeah, true. It's
Well,
also
I
like,
think-
We leave it open. And that's why, the sages say, make no claims about yourself, because that locks you into a category, into a box,
true.
and that's not who you are.
Right.
5 million labels.
Yeah,
we
5
put
million
on
labels,
everybody.
exactly. Go ahead, Susan.
Ooh. Oh, Susan.
What were you gonna say? She forgot it.
I thought
She forgot what she
Christine
was
was
gonna.
going to say something.
Desert, what you smoking? What you smoking?
I know.
OG Skywalker.
Emotional intelligence,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
Because
Emotions.
and compassion, because
Mhm.
some people, like, let's say people have been in a situation, you know how people who were abused usually, and a lot of times end up abusing people, right? But then there's other people that are like, I experienced that. I know how that feels. I wouldn't want anyone else to feel that way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like an emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Mhm.
And they learn how to help other people with the same trauma they had.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Being aware versus conscious. Ooh,
Mhm.
so I didn't get lost in Susan's place. I got lost in a completely different place. So, so I was going along with the I, and he broke it down into 4 categories of I. So I'm not even going to go there. I just have some questions around I.
Sure. Yeah.
Like the first question is,
Mhm.
what is I?
Mm.
Like, what is I, and where did I come from? Do we all think in sense of I? Did
Well-
I start with the English language? Did I start with the language prior to that? Like, what really is this concept of I?
Mhm.
And so thinking about it, do dogs think in terms of I? Do ants think in terms of I? Do they think in terms of pack? A chihuahua, when you walk in the house, is it thinking you're going to step on me because
Mhm.
I'm going to get hurt? Or damn it, you're on my carpet, we got to murder you. And he attacks your boot, right?
Right.
Do they act in
Yeah.
fear? Does an ant look at you and think
No.
in terms of, so what really is I? Is I fear-based? Is I the lack of universal consciousness or consciousness of the pack? I can't think of any higher form of life, which is pretty much every other form of life on the planet, that thinks in terms of I. Then the next question, same question. Does a baby
Right.
think in terms of I until we give him
Right.
an I?
No.
Well,
baby
that's-
doesn't
No.
know.
Mm.
No, because
Mm.
sometimes I was a long time ago. I was taking care, and a child was 3 years old, and he was learning to do anything. And I said, "Okay, you can go on that stairs. You can do it and things like that." I mean, it was like in a playground, like difficult. And he says, "Gadin cannot do this." So he was not speaking of I. He was still like, "Gadin does not like that. Gadin does." So that was, and they're not yet really. They're still like that. That reminds me of that Elizabeth Haig when she says, "Yeah, she looks in the mirror. That's not me." Like
That's not me.
they're still with
Mhm. Right.
themselves united. I think
Right.
that's how I feel it.
One of my teachers
Yeah.
gave us the assignment one time to refer to ourselves in the third person,
Yes. I think
either
it's a good idea.
by calling ourselves it. It is hungry right now, or I'm sorry, it can't talk to you right now. It has homework to do,
Mhm.
or it has to get ready to go to work, or something like that. That creates distance from the I.
Yes.
Mhm.
From the ego, I think it
Mhm.
learned to.
I don't
dissolve
like
the
calling
ego.
myself it. I don't
That's
Yeah.
a good thing. That's actually a good advice. You're gonna
Yeah.
try that. That. Christine doesn't want to
I
cook
like it.
today. No, she's
I want
no
to say something,
Christine.
but I don't want to say I think. I want to say something. Now I feel bad about saying
There are
I
many
feel
places
bad
I
about
do
saying
pronouns.
I.
I can call myself an it.
We call you it all the time. Don't even worry
I
about
know.
that.
I don't
That's
care.
the thing. It's a no. Kay said something in terms of hunger,
Yeah.
right? So animals, yes, right, in terms of eating, right?
Mhm.
Because when it's time to eat, the biggest and the strongest eat first, and then the next, and then the next. And when I think of that, damn it, I hate saying I. When Gerard thinks of that, then they're gonna think I'm crazy. They already think that.
It's so weird. I know.
Yeah, true.
When
Yeah,
we think of that, you know what we think?
yeah, he is maybe better. Yeah.
So
I
no,
got
say-
multiple voices. You can say baby.
so look, what we think of it in terms of, okay, well, he's bigger and stronger. He's going to murder the others if they try to eat at the same time. Maybe it's not like that. Maybe it's because they think in terms of pack strength, right? What would happen if you let the weakest and the dying and the oldest get the best part of the meal and the strongest and the youngest not?
Yeah.
So perhaps even in hunger, they're thinking about the group, because as in terms of the group, if the strongest don't eat first, we're not going to make it.
Right.
So maybe it's still not a thought in I. Maybe that is still a thought as a group. This is how we work together and we make it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
Nature is not sentimental.
No.
Nature is not sentimental.
Oh, it's not
No,
forgiven.
Right.
And like supposedly we have the consciousness or the connection to the divine, so we can be above primal instincts. I guess you could say.
Right.
But there were many cultures that if a baby was born and it was deformed or sick, they left it out to die. They didn't,
Yeah.
and it was
In
normal.
Indonesia, they did do that because
Yeah.
they said we cannot. I mean, then everybody has hungry. I cannot. Yeah, they did a kind of ritual. They killed it, but in a way, and then I did some prayers. But then when I was in Indonesia, they told me, yeah, because we don't have the things to keep it alive. We will suffer. They will suffer. That everybody will suffer.
Right.
So we have to sacrifice it. But they did some kind of ritual about
Yeah.
it. And they were not like we are emotional, but they say no, it doesn't help it doesn't help the group. So, and at that point, I could understand it. But if I mean, that's why, yeah, like if people like very old and they're just doing nothing anymore. I mean, they don't feel they're too much drugged in those homes and things like that. That's no way of living. And if
No,
you
that's
say
no way
they
of
better
living.
die, but if you say as Western, it's better that they die. Oh, you cannot say that.
I know.
So
I know. It gives me a weird Bill Gatesy vibe, but
yeah, kind of.
I know. Oh,
Yeah.
it's bad.
But,
But
yeah,
I
no, but
mean,
this is-
it's
Yeah.
true. It's you know what I
it's
mean?
true.
Because a
Yeah.
lot of things are hard truths that we don't want to face because we're
Yeah,
like,
I don't want to be like when I was old and I can't do anything anymore and I'm totally
No.
like dimensions and please put me that.
yeah,
throw
and a
me
burden
off-
on everyone. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a burden on anybody.
No,
Mhm.
and
No.
you can throw me off the cliff anyhow.
But would you want to even live? Because what happens is you're becoming a slave to the ailments of your body. You can't do the things
Yes.
you want to do. You're not living your life, and that's not
Right.
unlike today.
Mhm.
And maybe this is how it applies in terms of if I can't live my life and
Yeah.
I can't do the things that I like to do, I'd rather not be
Mhm.
here. You know,
Yeah,
if there is
Yeah.
something out there that's going to kill me doing something natural like breathing, then it's supposed to kill me. And I'm fine with
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
I tried to
Right.
explain that
Yeah.
to someone and they had, I
I
think
don't
they
get it.
struggled understanding it. Like,
Mhm.
if I can't live free, I'd happily die. But if you have to choose for me, you have to choose what goes in my body to live in your world, then you're going to have to kill me because I'm never going to live to enslavement of ailment of my body in terms of age
Mhm.
or to you because you're scared of something.
Mm.
and
That
everybody
directly applies today.
Yeah, exactly.
and everybody's like pain and suffering leads to transformation, right? Everybody's pain and suffering level is different. Like
Yes.
somebody might do something once and learn the lesson. Another
Mhm.
person might have to do it 10 times. But that's
Right.
like the safety risk level. Like if
Yeah.
if I'm okay with risking breathing fresh air, then that's my safe. I'm not hurting anyone else. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? You don't believe in science. Science is, experiments, meticulous evidence. You don't believe in
Mhm.
science. It just is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, some people would never ride a motorcycle. Some people would. Like, it's your personal risk assessment.
Yeah, true.
Nobody has the authority to tell me,
Yeah.
they could say, oh, that's dangerous, but it's
Mhm.
still my choice to my
Yeah,
risk.
true.
You know what I mean?
And that's totally gone in our society.
It's
because
gone.
Mhm.
like in the Maasai, those and the Amazon people, that was Maria Hanna was telling it. They don't have fear. They from child they don't learn fear.
Mhm.
They do everything. The children go in the jungle. They do this and that. And in the Maasai too, because their lions are out, they don't teach them fear because what's the use of teaching them fear?
Right.
They have to live their life.
For them,
Right.
everything is now.
Yeah.
The past is gone and there is no future.
Yeah.
Everything is now.
And we
When
don't-
everything is now, you're in the
very
present.
alert.
Yeah, you're very alert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
literally have an I and fear-based society.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's they're American Gods. Keep telling you guys. There's this one part where Mr. World, and he like runs all the CIA spy on everybody programs. He says he gives a great speech and they show a flashback of that I forget what year it was. Remember when they read War of the Worlds on the radio?
1938.
and people freaked out, thought it
Yeah.
was real, and they were under
Yeah.
attack.
Mhm.
And he was saying, he gives a great speech about fear, and he's like, love doesn't rule the world, fear does, because fear can control you. You love your
Yeah.
fear. You don't lock your door because you love your neighbor. You lock it because you fear your neighbor. Like, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but that's a good one. You have to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so money makes the world go round.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
why? Because people are afraid of not having it. So
Right.
people are willing to
Mhm.
do anything or go along with anything because they're afraid of not having the
Well-
things that they need to survive.
People in this country are apathetic. They know that their government is bombing the shit out of brown people in third world countries, and they just don't care. Why is that?
Can't say brown people,
Well-
it's racist.
All right, yeah, I can't say that.
Well, I
Ooh,
can
I'm going to
say
get
it.
us banned.
Hang on,
Need to be less white.
Let's go back. So, the country's bombing the hell out of brown people all over the
Mhm.
world,
Hmm.
and people just don't give a damn.
They don't care.
Including the brown
No.
people in America. They don't
Yeah,
care.
they don't care.
They're aware. They know that it's happening,
Yeah.
but they're scared of not having money. They're scared of not
Yeah.
having health care.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
scared of all of these things.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
scared of Donald Trump. They're scared of Joe Biden. Scared of him. And so people are willing to go
And
along
that
with
makes
things
him
based
more
on fear.
And that makes him more prison than those people on those other countries, I think, because
Yeah.
they learn to live how to. I mean, if you read, but in Africa, how creative they are because they have nothing. They do whatever they need to do to survive, but they are extremely creative. And we are not. We are not that like. We are not like that.
Right.
But when
And
you
then-
live free, you are creative.
Yes.
I'll
Yeah.
say this from my own perspective. I don't know how much people know about me, but
Mhm.
damn it, I'm moving on grid. I don't
Wow.
call it off grid. I call it on grid. I'm going to a grid that is sovereign, a grid that is human. Like, I don't like the word off grid. It doesn't make any damn sense. Nobody owns this particular grid that we're on. So I don't think you're moving off grid. I'm moving
Right.
on grid. I'm moving on to a human grid. But because I'm focused on that, everything I do is based in like creativity and invention. I'm thinking, well, how am I going to do this? How do I solve this? How do I fix this? What am I going to do with this? Oh, I got a new idea for an invention for this. I'm going to do this. Now, I'm not as good as those little girls in Africa that can like pee in this hole and they make power. I'm not at that level yet. Those little girls are just above me. They were born free. I was born a slave and gotten made to love my slavery. But I think when you live free, your mind has no
Yeah.
limits. It's going in all these different directions. You're creating all these dendrite connections and neuron pathways, and all these things are happening. And your mind is going in 8 different directions, solving problems because you're not boxed in this one little lane because you're easier to control if you're indoctrinated in school and made in, fearful I-ism. Or some stickers. Go ahead, Susan.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I don't know, whatever groups, because I ain't going to mention them personally, but because there's more than one, but none of them actually ever fight for real freedom. They fight to be either to become the oppressor
Yeah.
or to share equally the same oppression.
Mhm.
Nobody actually ever fights to really actually free ourselves.
Let's spread
And I
this
don't
oppression around so everyone's oppressed.
So
Yay!
Yeah.
And that is very rare. That's very rare that they fight for the equality and oppression the vast majority of time, especially right now. No one's fighting for shared equal oppression. They're all fighting to take the reins of power.
Right. Okay, we cut Susan off. Go ahead and finish your point.
Why stop?
I don't
Yeah.
know. Now,
Oh, come on. I gave it to you. I actually self-regulated.
no, but and I don't think fighting for freedom to actually be a free society, I don't think it takes an actual physical fight.
No.
It's
there's
going to
no
take
freedom is in the
thinking
mind.
outside the box, connecting in different ways, trying different things,
Yeah.
and really
It's never
detaching from
violent.
this matrix.
It's never violent. If you're
No, it's
totally-
never violent.
No.
It's-
Henry
if you're
Henry
totally
Thoreau
free,
decided
if
one
you're-
day, I'm not going to pay this tax because it's evil. I'm going to go to jail. He did. He was the only free man in Concord, and he was in jail. I'm not advocating that, but you can make up your own mind about
I
that.
ain't going there.
But it's a choice. Yeah, right. It's a choice.
Yeah, it is.
Freedom is a choice, and it is entirely within your power.
Yeah. And I think
Hashtag Kanye West said slavery is a choice, and he was right.
Yeah, he was.
yeah.
All right, Christine.
Yeah, I was. Now I forgot. I think.
Not just me.
No,
smoking,
I
woman?
think if you
Y'all
no, I think
smoking
if
the
you
same thing through ESP.
yeah. No, I think
Some
if
hell
you're
of a
truly
weed,
free, you think outside the box, and the solutions will come to you. Even if you live in the most suppressed country, that's what I
Yeah.
believe. I cannot do that, but that's a belief actually. But some people, there are people who have done that. And that was once when there was, I knew when I was doing more Japanese kind of yoga, there was a master and. I told you already, he went to all the countries which was forbidden, but he did it. He said, I'm free in my mind. I can get everywhere. And he proved it. And he could, I mean, he was smart enough to overcome those authorities in his way and his strong willpower, but also his cleverness and intelligence without being violent and without suppressing nor himself nor the authorities, but that's an art. So he kept integrity. But I would never do that.
Yeah.
But he was like amazing. But and he could cure you also. He said, "Okay, do you want to be cured?" He said, "Yes or no." I said, "Okay, yeah." But somebody was walking like this, and once he said, "Okay, you really want to be cured because you have to know what you want. Number one." Okay, and I want to be cured. He was like his back was like chrome bowed, and he went to him, and he put him right like that, and it was painful. And now you don't never. And he said, "Don't you ever go like this anymore. You're a dignified human being. Keep that in mind, and you will never walk like this anymore." And that man was cured. And another time he said to someone, and he was somewhere high in a high level apartment, like somewhere in America. I think maybe he was in number, I don't know how many levels they are. And there was another one, he could not walk. Yeah, can you cure me? Yes, I can. You have to come to me if you want to be cured. So and it took him a half day with his being handicapped, but he got cured too. He says, I can cure people who want to be cured. He says, I cannot cure people who don't want to be cured. No one can.
No.
No.
Touch the hem of his garment. Right. So they talk about how Christ healed all these people, and this is the reason.
Guru also did once, and sorry, just one more example. And there was one lady, and she was giving a public program, and she was like in a chair, in a wheelchair, and she said, "I know you can cure me." Okay, she said, my guru, come to me. And she did with the Renu. And he said, come, walk now and go, walk and you can go. And she did it. She stepped out of her wheelchair and she ran out. I mean, she said, thank you. And she ran out, I think. And then the people were, but she's not a yogi. See, you don't have to be a yogi. You have to believe in me. Otherwise, in the divine.
In the divine.
You don't need the label. If you believe, if you have that strong belief, it happens. And sorry, now I interrupted you. You were saying something.
No, so this is how we get down. This is like crosstalk, the ghetto version.
The ghetto version.
Susan just hasn't learned that yet. She's still too polite.
No, I'm like, yes, I'm too polite. I don't want to be mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can do that, and we'll try to respect it, but it depends on how delicious the food and the mental thought is.
Almost done.
So,
yeah, I'm sorry.
Right. So, in terms of Christ,
you hear lecturing me from the door.
I missed it. Somebody rewind that.
He's like, almost done. Are you almost done?
We gotta eat, damn it. We ain't got no time for this. Hell, get in that kitchen, woman.
You don't care.
My belly it's got a hole in it. You need to put something in there. Man, talking about that.
I know. I'm like all quiet, like, yeah, almost. And he's like, what? Give me a big lecture.
Meditating and flying. Yeah, you ain't got no supervisor. Ain't working. Get in this kitchen. You read that?
yeah.
Sorry, I love it. Which one was that? Well, who was that? Which family member?
Frankie.
That's Frankie.
Yeah, it was like some Frankie. But he's like, Pappy's gonna get mad. Yeah,
Whoa,
Pappy-
Frankie talking like that to you?
huh?
Frankie talking like that to you?
No, he was saying Pappy's gonna get mad because it's dinner time.
Oh, I wish I told my mama that somebody gonna get mad about something. My mama, she wouldn't even hit me with one shoe. She'd take both of the shoes. She might go in her closet and get an extra, fully automatic shoe area and just be like, shum, 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 shum. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I know you're raising 3 children, and that's a good thing. You're supposed to raise 3 children. I forgot my thought.
I
So
know.
you won.
Oh no, free will. Free will. Talking about free will, right? And like you were even saying just now, Christine, about the the belief in healing yourself.
Yeah.
Because in intuition, it said that it's the power of free will. And in American Gods, Odin says free will is our greatest asset. Because if we could actually remember ourselves or tune into that, I mean, we only use 10% of our brain, and look at what we're capable of. Because like, even like manifestation, right? Like, I get it, because it's like, oh, I'm going to dream this big thing and it's just going to materialize. No, that's not how it is.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
You can dream up your dream home and then build it in reality.
Yes.
So we do have these great and capable minds. And the more we discover the secret knowledge and how to use energies from the earth and stuff, we probably could fly. I believe we can. We just got to
I think we
together.
can.
I do.
I know
But we cannot take our luggage with us. How do we do that?
So where I was going to go with that is, I mean, all we're talking about is the placebo effect, right?
Right.
Why would people, travel 200 miles to see Christ? Number one, the same brain that was in our heads was in their heads. I know people, they won't travel 2 doors over if they don't believe you got sugar, let alone 200 miles through vagabonds with camels and deserts to a person who can heal people, unless tens of thousands of people at that time all knew that he could heal.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't healing. What he did to me, in my opinion, is he revealed to people that there's more to this than what meets the eye. He got people to believe in him. And in that, they believed in them. And through the placebo effect, they touched the hem of his garment. After traveling for 2 weeks to see this man, and you just know if you can just touch something, it's going to happen. You did it. And it was a placebo effect. What Christ did, I think, was he got people to believe in themselves through him. And that's scientific.
But that's
the
what
all-around
God does.
science. And when I hear stuff like that, it makes me wonder how much Rockefeller medicine is actually healing and how much is actually placebo. When I hear stuff like that, it makes me wonder, do I not get sick because I'm a vegetarian and I try to eat well? Or is it because I finally watched enough lectures and read enough books to a point where I believe if I eat healthy enough, I'll never get sick? I haven't been sick in 15 years and I still don't know why. Damn it, I'm eating cookies that are full of sugar right now. And I was hoping somebody would call me on it. But
no, I saw it. It's in yummy cookie. Yummy cookie.
I don't get sick, and I think it's the placebo effect as well.
And Jonathan always says about our words, which I agree, because we talk about words, vibrations, frequencies. So when we speak things. You know what I mean? Yes. When you say you speak it into existence, we kind of do. It's creating sound. It's creating waves, But why is today so bad with my brain?
We have no idea why. Smokey, we have no idea why. and I'm sorry. I'm just
Oh my God.
Everybody needs to have a toot.
I know. See, damn it. Oh, placebo. Yes. Okay. So, and I think when we use our words, because to me, placebo, I automatically think like experiment, 1 pill's nothing, 1 pill's right, placebo. And what if we kept saying it was the power of our minds, the power of our minds? Yeah, but the more you say something, the more it comes into being.
Yeah. Also,
Yes.
but there is a thing with homeopathy. They do experiments, and the true homeopathy that works, and the placebo doesn't work many times.
Right.
So
Right.
then I don't get it anymore, because that people who don't know they are having the placebo or not the placebo.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, 'cause some
I mean,
people
not
could
only
be-
with homeopathy, but with other things too.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, power of the mind, right? Because some people can take treatments and get better. Some people can take it. Maybe that's because in their minds it's I'm sick, I'm dying, I'm sick, I'm dying. And then in the other people's minds, it's
yeah.
this is healing me. This is healing me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, also, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you're describing the mirror neurons, right? The mirror neurons are the ones that mimic the things that you see. I did a live stream on it a long time ago. I forgot all the details, but if you look up the mirror neurons, it was where it was an experiment on lab monkeys, and it was like lab break time. The students went in the other room, but the monkey could still see the students, and the students were eating. And they had whatever studies they were doing on the monkey. It had the was it EKG, the machine that measures brain waves or whatever,
Yeah.
and the monkey was displaying, you know, the activity that it thought it was eating. Like the brain actually thought it was eating, looking at the students. And this is the beginnings of the studies into mirror neurons. And I'm probably sure I didn't say that completely correct. It's been a while. Like I try to eat brain food to confirm what I should understand to be true versus not. And that was one of the things that helped to explain the placebo effect, that your body actually takes on the conditions that it sees in others. And that was one way they proved that. And this is back to Susan's point about War of the Worlds. I had a conversation with a guy just yesterday about like what we saw in 2020 and we're seeing now is the true danger of television, the true danger of media. So with radio, they can convince people that there's an alien, and people died during that. And that was just a radio broadcast with no, you know,
no pictures,
visual assistance.
Yep.
You know, so now they're tapping into, and I'm not completely understanding how the mirror neurons work. I definitely encourage people to go look things up. Don't trust me with anything. Go look it up yourself. That they created a condition where people will do some of the most horrendous things out of fear because their bodies actually think if they breathe air in the wrong place from the wrong person at the wrong time that they're going to die. We are in very perilous times.
Yeah, that's why people die from that virus. I do believe more from the fear than from the virus.
From the virus.
Yeah, because that's then here's also but I know people who died from it and they're very, very bad condition. So of course, the fear. They're totally afraid, and nothing works because they're totally paralyzed by fear.
It reminds me of that meme. You guys see the meme? It was early on in the nonsense when they were homeless. There were like 3 homeless guys sleeping. And yes, I did just consider the gender of the homeless person or something that Beaufont's going to pose. Because you couldn't tell that they were sleeping because they were under all wraps.
You know,
and
it's
stuff. But you know it's coming. And one homeless person said to the other, how come we're not dying of whatever that you really can't say? We actually pushed this too far. He said, because we don't have, the other said, because we don't have television.
Yeah.
You know, and when you really think about it, like
the Amish, yes.
Yeah.
You know, but people don't think about that. And what my takeaway as we start to wrap this up is that people really believe what's on the television because they've spent 365 days of last year drilling it into them. And what I've realized when I talk to my family, I'm not actually talking to my family. I'm talking to a bundle of I fear. And that I fear will do anything that
you're talking to a program.
Yeah. And I know I say all the time, and I know it sounds kind of crazy, but like, you know, magic, whatever you want to call it, they really are spell casting us. They are using words. They are repeating it over and over again, and it affects your mind. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And then they're using our minds to manifest this crazy plan they have
Mhm.
So we really have to start programming our minds to think of other things, of different things. I mean, you have to balance it because you have to live in this world, but
Yeah, true. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like not super focus on it. Like last week, manifest in the comments.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
She said that, you know, it was like a group consciousness thing and a comet hit.
Right.
So
But then
Yeah.
and I think they did that also for like there's like I don't know if it was DC or whatever it was back in the 80s. There was this meditation they did around the world for violence, and they thought about one city or Chicago, something like that.
Yeah.
And they saw a drop in gun violence
Yeah.
or murder or
Mhm.
something like that. And they've done that more than once now.
mhm.
Yes.
But let's all say that's my last word. Let's wrap it up because Susan Pappy gonna come in there and
Pappy. And
You don't want
that's the word he picked to be called. Yeah.
yeah, I know, because Pappy wants to do some patting. You don't get in that
Could have
kitchen.
been
and
Grandpa.
Grandpa.
You big Pappy.
You don't get these mushrooms going. Now, don't make me embarrass you in front of your friends.
Exactly.
All right. Don't make me do that. I have Pappy, if you're watching, we appreciate you, brother. You know, stay strong. We appreciate you not embarrassing Susan. That's what I do too. I send my kids to go do the dirty work. I gotta eat. Y'all need to wrap this up. So let's wrap it up, people.
Okay.
Are we good?
I
Or
just
last
have to
word?
say, I'll say
Yeah.
this. Okay, because it was something it was a note I wrote down and now it's clicking. So it was one of my forgetful moments. But Alan Watts, because we were talking about the past. At some point, that was the past was raised that read. And Alan Watts, right, talks about, which it really resonated with me, right? Because, okay, so we always are like, let's take a time machine and go back and if I change this one thing or if I change this thing, then, you know, my life would be better now, right? But the present, the here and now is creating the past.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's so you got right now in 5 minutes, it'll be the past where you can't do anything about it and you can't change it, but you can live in the moment in the here and now and affect what comes in the future and affect how the past is written. It's all about the here and now,
Yeah, true. That's living in the present.
living in the present, just
I
being.
remember that Alan Watts. That was good. I
Yeah,
know what
it's a
you're
really
talking
good
about.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand
That's
what
right.
you're saying. I didn't understand it first, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
You gotta live in the moment. You're
Yeah.
creating the
Forward,
past
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what the
Right.
book of the power of the present from Eckhart Tolle. It's a very strong book,
Mhm.
and it's when you're most aware, you live in the present. Then you can be aware and conscious. That's much more easier to be there. But we always living in the past or in the future, but
In
never.
the future. Yeah.
You're
I
I
creating
mean,
the
it's
future
hard,
today.
but, you know,
That's what a supervillain said on one of my favorite shows. He said, "We're all superheroes because we're all time travelers because we're affecting the future and the past with everything we
Right.
say and do,
Mhm.
living in the here and now." Awesome.
Okay.
Fantastic
Okay.
talk, people. I appreciate it. I don't know how we kept it down to 7 hours, but this was wonderful.
This is good. Yeah. Good.
All right. I'm
All
going to
right.
wrap it up and press the button and say goodbye before we see a shoe fly Susan's way or a belt
No,
or
I'm
something.
good. Yeah.
You good?
No.
Sure.
There's
No?
no that stuff. I'll just have to be like, I'm hungry. That's all I do.
Oh, I grew up in your house. That was not, oh, hell no, that wouldn't be it. My
I
grandma's
know.
like,
I
okay,
know.
but
I'm
seeing
always
how
like,
you
how
didn't
did you
listen.
survive without me? Like, I don't understand this at all. Whatever.
Well, we'll explain men to you later, but you know, we are very susceptible creatures to food. If you convince us that you're food,
No, I
then
promise.
you
That's
bring in
why.
the food, then when it's time to eat, we'll roar in from the lawn chair.
Yeah.
From the big
Yeah, I
boy.
promised. I was like, I'll make blackened chicken for dinner. So I promised. And my uncle and my uncle was like, that's racist. You can't make that.
He's right. He is right. I don't want to say it. He's so right. You know why? Because that's when I went to Facebook prison. That's what they got me on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on the Jonathan. I was watching Jonathan.
You were being racist?
Yeah, I was. But I got Facebook on it because Jonathan, he was reading a book and he got to the part talking about the black creature. And I was having some fun because that's just what I do. I really don't care. And I said something about black creature. What you mean by that? And they said Facebook prison. And they said, do you want to contest it? I'm like, yeah, I think you misunderstood what I was saying. And so they said, okay, we reviewed your post and we realized you got black skin, and that's not what you meant. They didn't say that, but that's what they meant. We're taking you out of Facebook prison, Negro. And they took me out. But Jonathan said it twice.
You're allowed to be racist.
I'm allowed to be. But then Jonathan said it twice. So later on that thread, 15 minutes, I said, black creature again. I said, what you mean by that? And they said, Facebook prison. I was like, I'm going to try to see if I can get out of this one. And I contested it again.
Oh,
like,
God.
Nope, you stay in prison this time, bastard. So, your uncle is right. This is it's according to Facebook.
Yeah.
And they don't care if you, they're not like the virus. The virus is not going to get you if you got the right skin color at the right protest with the right sign. Facebook does not do that. No, I don't care if you got black skin, green skin, yellow skin. They're going to throw you in prison if you say things like that. So on that note,
Okay.
this has been a harsh reality. I cultural, socially appropriated, live stream appropriated, misappropriated. I always want to say that.
Yeah, it's been a reality for me that I'm going to have to start eating lion's mane to build back this memory.
Let's get to it. Hey, folks, it's been awesome. Appreciate it so much. Y'all have a wonderful day. Everybody in the crowd, thanks for joining. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Do you wanna break the chains that bind me? 'Cause I wanna break the chains that bind you. Do you wanna set the world free? Have perfect harmony? Isn't it time for that? Do you wanna free, boom, 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 free the people? Do you wanna free, boom, 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 free the people from the bottom to the top? Make modern slavery stop. Do you wanna let go of the prisoners? See everyone happy. We can have this and more if we open up the doors. Well, what do you think about that? Do you wanna free, boom, boom, free the people? Do you wanna free, boom, boom, free the people and Mother Nature too? Close down all the zoos. Do you wanna boom, 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 boom? Do you wanna boom, 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 boom? Do you wanna free?